And welcome to another Biddle on Saturday, May 16th, 2020. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Great.
Doing good.
We are officially open for business, and we are ready to go. But, I mean, I know that we're like a minute or two late, but that was not my fault. It was totally Kubuntu's fault. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, who's typing? Who's typing? We just talked about that.
Poor Peter.
We just talked about
it.
this, Peter.
Okay.
You're all good, Peter.
Quite all right. All right. So we are having a couple people in the waiting room trying to connect, and but we're going to continue on. So we're going to get started. I have some Ubuntu pop update things I want to relay, and we got some emails I want to go over, and we are kind of testing out Kubuntu this week. Kind of. Sort of. I still don't know what to call this, whatever we're doing with the distros. But we are checking out Kubuntu 2004 this week. And I installed it. And I have a few things I got to say, but they're probably going to be taken negatively. So we're going to get somebody else to talk about it positively before we go there. So, Dan, did you have any time at all this week to test it out? I know you're busy.
I didn't really this week. No, this week was kind of bad for that. But I had fired up one of the earlier beta versions, if you will. So yeah, it was after beta freeze. So it was probably pretty close to what landed. And yeah, I mean, you know, the little bit that I got to spin around with it was pretty great. A lot of people don't like all the settings stuff, so we'll let other people, you know, talk about that. But I think the theming is very good out of the box. I like it a lot. It's consistent, is you know throughout the whole thing. And yeah, it still felt like plasma. So I mean, you know, that was great. I was comfortable.
Yep. Well, I'm going to sprinkle in my comments, but I just want to say that Kubuntu Plasma in general has been on the forefront of some awesome innovations.
Yes.
And the desktop on a whole is really, really good. So I'll just sprinkle in my personal issues of my testing of it this week as we go on. But Vash, before we go on any further, if you are in the waiting room and you are... So this past couple of weeks, we've had people trying to get in the show that maybe don't really want to be here for any good purpose. So we are kind of vetting people that are in the waiting room. So if you are in the waiting room and, you know, somebody knows you or we know you by some other way, maybe we don't know your name, we might not let you in. So maybe you want to log in under Zoom, under your YouTube chat name so that we can verify who you are and, you know, not trying to be rude to anybody, letting them sit in the waiting room. But again, going back to what we talked about in the pre-show was that, you know, we can message people in the waiting room, but we can't receive, you know, we can't communicate. We can message the waiting room, but they can't communicate back to us. So you're going to have to communicate some other way through the Telegram group or the YouTube chat, one or the other. So there you go. All right, Vash, sir, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I am surprised I'm in the room with, you know, not for people who are here for no good reason or whatever. I'm surprised you let me in.
Vash. We love you.
But I did not get to check out Kubuntu at this point. No, I've been messing with breaking Python in Arch, so that's fun.
Well, you know, like I have some update news on my system, and it had to do with Python, so I might be there, right there with you. Just saying. But we'll get to that later.
Interesting. Well, I mean, yeah. So, Dave, how are you? Dave Jones. Sorry. How are you? And what do you think of Kubuntu if you had a chance to try?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play with it this past week. I had looked at the beta a while back, Kubuntu's, it's one of the most polished desktops out there, and like I said, I didn't get a chance to try it with this, but one of my favorite features with Kubuntu is that you're able to do the KDE neon backports, and I really like being able to have the fast update of KDE, but still have the 6-month Ubuntu cycle, where you don't necessarily get that with Neon because it's on an LTS.
Yep. You don't find that breaking at all, do you? You combining that repo?
It's hard to say because I used to use Kubuntu at work, but I don't think it was with Kubuntu necessarily, because every once in a while, my work computer would has a NVIDIA card in it, and I would every once in a while, like every few months, I would have a problem where the computer would go to sleep, and then when I would try to restart it, I would just get a black screen, and nothing I could do could get the screen back up. And that bit me twice. Once it was on Kubuntu, but another time it was when I was using Debian testing. So I don't really know what the cause was with that was, but that after the second time I stopped using Kubuntu at work.
Okay. All right, so let's just open it up rather than go down the list. Let's just open it up to anybody who would like to talk about their experience with Kubuntu, and we'll go from there. MC got his hand up already, so there you go.
Well, after last week's BDLL, I went ahead and downloaded it and installed Kubuntu on my System 76 laptop, and worked great as far as that goes. In fact, that's what I'm using right now. I've been using it all week on this laptop. That's what I'm using right now for Zoom and being connected. But overall, I can honestly say probably tomorrow I'm going to take Kubuntu off this. While Plasma, it looks good to start with, there is no easy way to change things, and it's not knowing how. It's actually not knowing how to change what you want to change. One of the things I really liked with Ubuntu Mate was that you start with that welcome screen. Even better now that in 2004 it has it has immediate links that you can change your desktop style to, if you want it more like a Mac, or if you want it more like a Windows style, or if you want it more like Pantheon, or whatever the options you had, you can go in there. You can do that right from Mate Welcome. And even before, it was really easy just to go into Mate Tweaks and change things. And coming in here, it's like you have to go hunt down things on, okay, well, how do I change this? How do I move this? And you get so many different people with so many different opinions. It's almost you almost don't make a decision on what to do because you don't know which way to go. So,
yep. Well, I mean, look, the KDE settings are super as far as if you want to customize it, it's probably in there somewhere. Finding it is another whole story. Now, it does have the search box, and that does help, but sometimes things are named differently, going from desktop to desktop environment, and it's not plain and simple out in the open for all of the settings with KDE. I so wish they had a simple settings area where you would be able to check the basic settings of what normal people would use on an everyday basis, and then have an advanced mode which would open it all up. It would make it so much simpler. But
yeah, I think that's something KDE needs to look at is, go to their users, who uses their users the exact way, who changes their stuff. What are the most common things you change? You don't even have to do that by default, but make it easy, like Martin Wimpress did with Ubuntu Mate, where you had Mate Tweaks, and you can go in there. Okay, if you want your panels to look like this, boom, here's a quick shortcut. At least then it shows you here's what's available to do, and now I could take this and I want to change this one little bit more way.
Yep.
And things like that. That's like what I do with Mate. Ubuntu Mate is I use Pantheon, but I use the because I have widescreen monitors, I use the Plank. I put Plank on the left part of the screen, so I still get my full size vertically, because I have much wider screens than I have tall screens. So, But yeah, it's sharp as far as it's snappy. It's working great as far as using it, but it's just one of those. It doesn't talk to me. It doesn't speak to me in regards to, hey, yeah, this is something I want to stay on. This is something I really want to invest on. I feel like it took me, even the first time I used Ubuntu Mate, it took me, maybe half an hour, and I, had it pretty much how I like doing it, where, half an hour into using Kubuntu, I still don't know where to go to change half the things I want to change.
Well, we were talking in the beginning before we started, and I was looking for where to turn the screensaver off. And, we found it, but it was the idea. It's not just plain and simple out there. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, sir, how are you?
Great. How are you, lovely people?
Awesome.
Good to hear. So yeah, if it's Ubuntu, it's KDE. I was a little disappointed. I run KDE on Arch. It's not my favorite, but I do it because I like to play with the new. So I'm more of a Pop OS GNOME guy, but Ubuntu Mate and Ubuntu proper out of the box worked great with 4K displays. I fought with Kubuntu all week. I'm still searching how to make my the little down where the Bluetooth and wireless, I don't know what they call them in there, but they're so tiny. The scaling didn't, out of the box, it didn't recognize that, oh, I'm looking at a couple of 4K displays, whereas even Mate, which I don't associate with 4K anything, did. GNOME did right out of the box. I was a little disappointed. I expected KDE on Ubuntu to just to go and wow me and just kind of work out of the box, and that's not the experience I had. It's been a little clunky. I like it better on Arch. Maybe there's something in translation there. I'm not sure. Maybe some bugs haven't been tweaked yet, or maybe it's just because it's fresh and it's just been released. But
now, is it something like your expectations, maybe? Because, like, say, on an Arch system, you expect Plasma to be just plain vanilla, and then on Ubuntu, you expect it to be something different? No.
I think it behaved differently than my KDE install on Arch. Like, it just, obviously the settings are all in the same place and everything, but on Arch, I didn't struggle with any 4K issues. Now I say Arch, I'm running it on Endeavor, which is kind of Arch, I guess.
It's kind of Arch, yes.
It's kind of Arch.
That would be Arch.
Yeah. But it's fresh, right? It's the latest. And it just, I was just underwhelmed. I expected it to be a little more solid. Again, KDE in general is not my wheelhouse. I do prefer Pop, but I was just a little disappointed. I expected it to just, like the previous two, like Mate and like Ubuntu proper. I just expected it to just install and work, and it was a little less than that.
Well, you guys, MC and Joe, now you guys are not helping me out here, because I wanted to talk about some of the issues, but you were supposed to talk about the positives.
I wanted to get mine out first, since I saw where you were going.
But I will have to agree with you that the 4K high DPI, however you want to phrase it, problems are there in Kubuntu. Like, it didn't, obviously it didn't recognize right out of the box. I go into the settings, I switch it, and you have to log in and log out. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal. That's nothing major, but you don't have to do that on other systems. I go and I look at, say, the Dolphin File Manager, and my mouse cursor looks like it's doubled for high DPI, but as soon as you hover over the title bars or the desktop, it goes really tiny again. It's like it doesn't completely catch the 4K high DPI thing. It kind of puts it that way. So, like, the icons are big and, like, the text is big, but there are certain parts of it that definitely need work on. And
the panel at the bottom not scaling. My panel was was looked like a piece of spaghetti across the bottom of the monitor.
Well,
I had to drag it manually.
Yeah, you can manually drag it, but the icons themselves in the system tray do not
small.
scale up like you said. And there is a setting somewhere in a config file that I had found before that you can change that. And, I forget how it is, but you change it from, regular size to large, and they will scale up. But it's the idea that you got to go find that. Yeah. And that is, that's kind of disappointing, I would have to say.
Yeah. Well, high DPI is tough stuff.
It's
I guess,
tough.
But,
it's tough.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the other versions like GNOME and Mate and them are just now becoming good at it. Right. So it's not like they've had it all this time and, they're lagging, KDE or Kubuntu's lagging behind. It's, they're just getting it now. So
I guess what I expected was KDE has always been a little more ahead.
Yep.
So I expected it to just go. And that was where my disappointment was. I think if I had similar experience on the other two, I'd go, okay, yeah, we're all, but I thought, oh, well, if Mate's this good and GNOME's this good, oh, KDE's going to be just bonkers. Yep. No, it wasn't.
Yeah. And coming at it from a developer standpoint, you got to ask yourself, which thing do you want to go for? I mean, so you probably try to prioritize, what is going to affect most people. And, I guess maybe we're a niche group in the sense that, we're running, 4K high DPI things and, other groups are not. I don't know. So, I mean, there's probably no scientific way to figure that out, right?
I'm not trying to bash Kubuntu.
I'm
just trying to. No, I realize that. I'm just saying for the people listening, for anybody from the Kubuntu project listening. Right. I'm really not trying to bash Kubuntu. Just trying to relay real world experiences that other people will end up having.
Yep. No, that's fair. And like I said, I mean, they're probably battling a whole bunch of different things, and they chose not to work on the high DPI stuff maybe as much. So I don't know. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll move on. Eris, how are you? I see you've got your hand up.
Yes, good.
Good. Kubuntu.
Kubuntu is my main distro. I've been using Ubuntu. I mean, I like Plasma. I like that I can have my tray on the left side. I can have my window buttons on the right. I can have my clock on top. It's no. I don't think any desktop gives me the flexibility the Plasma does. But I understand what everybody's saying. There's a lot of things that they're not very clear at first, if anything. And I think I like it because it's so light compared to a lot of desktops, and there's so much flexibility. But since it's so complex, also it's hard to understand. And since it has the Ubuntu base, it's always attracted me. But if I could say something about Kubuntu, it's like I'm not very enthusiastic about Kubuntu. I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm just not. That's my main distro. But if I look at Ubuntu Mate when it comes out, it's exciting. If I look at let's say Ubuntu, main Ubuntu, Kubuntu, even though it's my main distro, I'm not that excited because it just seems like it's Plasma on top of Ubuntu. It doesn't seem like it differentiates itself so much like other distros do, other flavors, the way Mate does, the way like Pop! OS always does different things that makes it different. But I don't know. To me, it's the best DE for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds good. Let's see here. Daniel, looks like you've got your hand up and you're next to my list. So how are you and what do you think of Kubuntu?
I'm doing well, Dan. Hello, everyone. As someone who has never really played around with any of the KDE flavors at all, I'm completely new to touching KDE. I gotta say I'm actually liking it. I get it. So I get what a lot of people say, Rocco, what you say about trying to find things that settings. I went to system settings and I was like, wow, that's a lot of stuff to digest. And I almost told myself to RTFM just so I could figure out what was going on. But the things that I do like about, I like how polished it is. I don't have the problems with the displays because right now both my laptop and my screen are both still 1080p, so it handles that just fine. So I'm not in that camp with the super high res stuff. So, but I could see how that would be fairly annoying if you can't get that to work. It seems to, it is very snappy. It's very fast on my machine. I like some of the more nuanced stuff. Like when I was recording, I actually recorded a video and put it up last night that I like how you can just like right click on one of your window tabs and like navigate to more options and just stick it on top of all others. Cause I had a problem where like my camera kept jumping away from me every time like I switched screens. And then I was like, well, there has to be a way to do this. And I just kind of found it just by navigating quick. And it was like very easy and intuitive for me to find it. And I think what makes the plasma stuff probably the best, at least for me, is that K runner, like just hitting Alt space and the fact that it searches through so many different things, windows and programs, and how all that was already turned on by default when I installed it. I didn't really have to muck around with turning on the different search options. That's pretty cool.
K runner is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah. I mean, that really helped. Like I just tried doing the quick search like you did for the screen setting or for that privacy setting. It didn't come up in there. I'm like, oh, fail. But
I bet you if you did screensaver, it would.
So, so there's that. And so I've had it installed for a couple of days now. I think I'm going to run with it for a while because I've got it. So I still have Pop OS on the other drive in this machine, which I've been using on this computer for a while now. And I really like that. But, you know, since I've never played with it and I've never done anything with it, I'm kind of digging it right now. So I'm going to run with it for a while and just kind of flow with it. But I like it. It's very fast, very snappy. I was able to find everything really quick, like just by doing the quick search through K-Runner. I even tried playing around with tiling. Like I installed this K-Win tiling thing, which, yeah, that was a whole unique experience in and of itself. Actually, on the YouTube video I posted last night, I go through a whole thing where like broke halfway through the video and I just left it in. I'm like, yep, here we go. But
well, okay, so that comes to like but first of all, Dan, I want to thank you for the positive review because we needed that. But one of the other things that I was dealing with was it seems like Kubuntu specifically, Plasma is great if you don't change anything.
Yeah.
Once you start changing things, it seems like it just goes off the rails a little bit. I went and downloaded some global themes. And this bug has been there, I don't know, for a few years now, where if you click on a different global theme and hit apply, it won't stretch the new panel that it creates all the way to the edge of the screen. It's like 3/4. That bug's been there for forever. And those types of things, like I said, if you leave it on the Kubuntu theme, you're fine. There was just a lot of things like that where if you change them up, you get like, I don't know. I was again checking out global themes. There was some that were made back when I made the how to create one of the global themes video, and I think it was based on what Unity looks like. And it just, even though you check that box to say save the, use the whole background and everything for this whole global theme, it just seemed like it didn't bring everything over. So somewhere along the line, those themes are not, applying completely or all the time. And it just makes it, like I said, not a bad experience. It doesn't give it a great experience when those things don't work. So, all right.
Cool.
Who's next? Matt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me all right? I had a little mic problem the other day.
No, we can hear you fine, brother.
Okay, good deal. All right, so we're going to go back to the negative side of everything, I guess. So I went to Kubuntu a couple of weeks ago before you guys did this. So I'd been on it for about maybe 3 weeks, and it didn't even make it till we got to here. I finally took it off and threw my hands up. I'm not sure if it's just because it's a new release. They've got some more bugs to chase. I've got a few issues that I haven't heard people talk about yet that I'll bring up. One, the email personal service that tracks like your security settings. It starts with an A, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
A Canadi or
yes,
Acadai,
that's it.
I forget how to say it. But.
Was highly unstable for me. It crashed about every other day, and the only way I could get it restarted. Now I didn't go to the command line and really work on it. Was just to reboot the system. Then it'd come back up. But if you went through the GUI, you had no hope of rebooting it, restarting the service. So that was a problem I had. Coming on and off a docking station with a laptop was a nightmare because it wouldn't recognize when you unplugged. So your laptop, however you had the video set up on the docking station, is what your laptop had. So if it wasn't your primary screen, then you had to go through display settings and try to work your way around. That was a problem I had. The other problem I had was on my network. Every once in a while I would start dragging when I was on a browser, and I was like, that's kind of weird. Then I found out that it was throttling my wired network connection to 100 megabits. It was a ceiling on it. It had, for some reason, defaulted to that. I don't know why it did that, but it did. And so it was throttling itself on its network speed, which I thought was strange.
Wow. I never
so that
heard
was
of that.
three of the issues that I had that I came up with. I flipped over to Fedora KDE because I was really wanting to get into this KDE desktop. I've not used it a lot in the past, and I'll try not to make this a Fedora ad, but Fedora 32 with KDE has been rock solid. So, and I've got and I will defend Kubuntu. The guy who got me into Linux some 12, 13 years ago has been a devout Kubuntu user for years. And so that's why I think this has got to be just a new release, and they missed some spots somewhere maybe. I'm sure it's going to get better.
Yeah. And, well, let's remember, there is so much work put into every distro, including Kubuntu. Guys like Rick Mills and many other people put their heart and soul into it. So, again, I got to say, this is like not a bashing fest, but just some real world experiences.
Yeah, I mean, for me, getting to play around with KDE was a blast. I have really enjoyed getting to use the KDE desktop and Plasma, and I really enjoyed that. I'm going to stay with KDE, and I've been trying to do some work with Red Hat and stuff. So being on Fedora makes more sense for me anyway. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I think it's just some early bugs.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's search through here and maybe find some positive.
I was gonna say, find someone positive.
Find some positive. Let me look at the list. Oh, I don't know. No, it's all good. Let's see. Peter, how are you? And
Peter, if you got nothing good to say, don't say it, okay?
Yeah,
everything I've got to say actually is very good.
Okay.
And Rocco, you assumed wrongly.
What I assume?
You said you started with a negative, but everything I say is positive. So
there you
excellent.
Go. Yeah. So I've got a quick story. I've been testing 2004 for a couple of weeks. Ghost BSD 2004, that is.
Really?
And yeah, hear me out. And so I've been, I was testing that. It was up to 4 a.m. this morning, wrestling with a Broadcom Wi-Fi driver in my Alienware laptop with Ghost BSD. 4 a.m. I lost and went to bed. Today I put on Kubuntu on the same machine, picked up a Broadcom card, no problem. Everything is tickety-boo, as Ed would say. Huh? So it's all working great on my laptop. Everything is working fine. NVIDIA graphics card, the older style, FT40 driver, Broadcom Wi-Fi, all working fine. Plasma I have no issue with whatsoever. Over the last couple of years, I've been using Plasma on Solus on my second machine. I've been learning that. So Plasma I like. It's not my main system, but I do like it. So Kubuntu, good stable system too. All positive for me.
Nice. Well, we'll take the positive.
There you go.
Yeah.
But Robert Newgie is now upset in the chat, I'm sure.
Well, oh well. Uh, let's see, Jinda, how are you? And did you get a chance to try Kubuntu?
Yeah, I tried it and installed it on my PC and tried it out. They don't have tweaks; they have more of a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little overwhelming, but I've used it for years, so I was a little more used to it. I think that it wasn't influenced by Ubuntu too much, and I think that's why some of the things didn't work right. You know what I mean? Like you guys said, it kind of was a little off kilter on a few things, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, I've played with worse. I played with better. I mean, if you download another distro with KDE, it seems like KDE seems to run more differently than other distros over the years. I don't know if that's you guys had the same experience, but I mean, it is really nice. I can't say I didn't like it. I can't say that I can't fix what's wrong with it because I don't have the fancy 4K monitors problem and, etc. But I think they did a pretty good job overall on it. It seems quicker. I haven't ran KDE in a couple of years now. It used to be, I think, a little more bloated, but it does seem faster. And is it? I'm assuming it has to be less bloated.
Yeah. They've made some enhancements, I think, as far as performance for sure. Definitely. And it's nice to see that they've got that in there for the LTS release. Honestly, so yeah, they've been making some progressions, I think, along the way.
I would say you could match KDE Plasma up against any distro for the fastest, lowest resource running system out there. So,
yeah, in the past, it really wasn't like that.
No, it wasn't. You're
right.
I
agree.
It was really big and bloated. I mean, I ran it a lot, years ago, and it is a lot. It is very overwhelming to be able to do the settings in it. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's just a lot there.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot available for sure.
You can change anything you want 10 times over.
Yeah.
But you guys got to give, one of the things about it is I think Dolphin is a really good file manager.
It's one of the
best
best
file manager on the planet, bar none. That's my opinion.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's one, years ago, the first thing when I ran it, I saw that file manager is really awesome. And KDE Connect, and, the software that they seem to make by default seems the next step up in a sense. Like it's not Notepad. You know what I mean? It's
right.
Their Kate version has so much more in it.
Kate is very nice too. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying you like it or not. It just seems like every little program they do, they always go the next step up with KDE.
Oh yeah, like if you get into the whole KDE sphere, if you will, there is a lot available, and they all integrate very nicely. And it's really modular, so you can add the ones that you want, I think, and having that flexibility is kind of one of the keys behind the whole thing. So yeah, I think the whole KDE sphere is a good setup, but it could be overwhelming, I guess, for some too. So I can see that too.
Yeah, but like I said, I've ran it on and off for decades now, and it was nice. Would I not try, every other KDE desktop, or distro out there to see which one I like the best? Sure. And it's not going to keep me from doing that. But when you do play with this, and then you do play with, Mate and Ubuntu, the whole Ubuntu lineup, and they're really trying, I thought, to make you have a KDE experience. You know what I mean? I think they tried that. I did have some issues with it, but nothing that I can't fix, and nothing that I would, go, oh my God.
Yep.
Okay, was that someone on the positive side?
Thank you very much. That was a good positive there.
I mean, but it was honest. So
that's all we want. That's all we want. That's all this is about. It's just giving our honest opinions about what we experience.
100% honest, no lies, just goodness.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Tony. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks, Rocco. And you?
I am doing excellent. Kubuntu, dude.
I'll try to be positive.
I knew we were going to go back.
No, it works fine.
Okay.
But
there's always a but.
I don't like the settings, as everybody said, and I've used it quite a few times on and off. And I still go into the settings and can't remember where certain things are. There's no logical layout to it. There needs to be a shorter menu system with the basic settings in. They need to do something with it. It's unnecessarily complicated. But once you find out where everything is, it works. But I found a problem with the dark theme on GTK 2 things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that bugs me.
Those little things bother you, Jim?
Sorry?
And those little things bother you?
Of course they do.
I know, they bother me too.
Exactly. Any little thing that's not quite the way it should be bothers me. That's why I keep distro hopping, because I can't find everything that works properly, but I digress. I always install the Latte dock. That works okay. But if you have the Super Tux game installed, when you open that up, not full screen, but just 3/4 screen, if the Latte dock has a clear see-through panel at the bottom, so you just see the icons, it pops up with a black background when the game opens up. And that stays there until you close the game down. And that bugs me. It's things like that that just take the shine off it. So it's good. And I'm trying to be fairly positive with it. But I don't think I'd use it as a daily driver unless I could get all the little niggly bits to work the way I want them to.
Yep. Well, that's fine, Tony. There's nothing wrong with that review. Nothing. All right. Chris. How are you, Chris?
Yay, there we go. Trying to remember what button to push where. KDE is what I was introduced to Linux with back in Fedora Core 4. And
That's a while ago, Chris.
Yes, it was. Back in my day, I tell you. No,
Was that uphill? Yeah.
Tell you the truth, I've always liked KDE. It used to be a resource hog to the point where it would just bog down the system, and that has vastly improved. However, what I've also noticed is what Tony was saying is that the menuing system just needs to be updated instead of trying to be all fancy and give, almost like a matrix type of, do it more like what Cinnamon does, where, it's like internet and then has everything listed there that's involved with the internet. It's a little bit more intuitive. But the main thing that I've been trying to find for years is any kind of a wiki or anything like that to tell me how to configure these dot files, either using Qt or GTK, and making it look the way I want it to look rather than just the default. I still struggle with trying to figure out how to do multiple desktops, or more along the reasons of why to do multiple desktops. My workflow doesn't really involve that. I can see where other people's workflow does, but not mine. And with the limited resources I have, with the laptop that I do all the testing on, I only can do 2 gigabytes of memory, and trying to manage that with a single core CPU has been getting more and more challenging. But it's stable. It's I don't even recognize it as Ubuntu. I recognize it more as Plasma, and it seems to be the same across all the distros. which is kind of nice because now you have a standard that you, once you know where something is, you can pretty much guess unless the developer has gone in and changed some configurations around. But still, it's so the main things I like about it are the stability and the standardization. So past that, on to the next.
All right, thanks, Chris. And Paul, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
I know you're a Plasma user, so what'd you think of
You know
Kubuntu?
me, I love Plasma, and I got it running on my
Nice.
laptop here. And what's nice about this is I've got the Prime in it,
Yep.
so I can pick, you know, NVIDIA, on demand, or power saving mode. So for that reason, like Arch, you have to use Bumblebee, and I can't stand the Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, cool.
For that reason, I do run Kubuntu on that laptop.
Well, that's a good thing. Yeah, definitely.
And this new
Nice.
version seems a lot snappier. It really does.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Paul. Dale, how are you? Yeah.
I'm doing good here. I just installed Kubuntu 20.04 about a half hour before the show started. Well, I tried to do it a little sooner, but my work comes first, and I was able to park with enough time to eat before. And I was in the middle of trying to figure out a little Telegram issue. I've never used the Snap before, and the spell check doesn't turn on. So I noticed that was kind of weird. And I was in the middle of trying to figure that out, but I don't know. As far as my opinions on this, I like the theming because so far I've tried Q4OS and I've tried Farron, and I ran about almost 2 years ago. I ran their flagship Neon, and I'd have to say, and at home I have Plasma on Solus, and I'd have to say for the theming, I'd say that it's pretty close to, in my opinion, to what Solus is themed like, because they automatically have the transparency or translucency rather on by default, which is a nice touch. Gives it, and I know people don't like the phrase modern look, but it does look, it doesn't look like KD4. It doesn't look like KD3. It looks something you would have in this century. And you were talking about only being positive. Well, while I was trying to set this up, I downloaded the deb from the Zoom site and tried to do depackage install, and I can't remember. I've already closed that terminal window, but it had a whole bunch of errors saying it couldn't install and it was leaving it unconfigured. So I didn't really have time to dive into that. So I went into Discover and found it and installed it. And then I was surprised to see that they actually have Discover in here, because when I ran Neon, and I'm going to be nice here because I don't want to be mean to any developers that work hard on things, but I will preface this like KDE writes some pretty awesome programs. I mean, look at what they've done with Plasma. I mean, look at KDE Connect. They've done a lot of great work. What I don't understand is why Discover was a dumpster fire for so long. It crashed so much. It would come up and say, you've got an update. Click on it, crash. Crash reporter comes up and says, I've got nothing. So I was surprised that KDE, or the Discover, works pretty well on here. And I tried doing some searching, because that was another problem. I was talking with some of the guys in the Mintcast group that I hang around in, and some private messages between some of the people on there. And they said, yeah, it pretty much has fixed it. They were running testing Kubuntu and saying, yeah, we haven't seen any problems whatsoever. And so that's good. I always like to see things that go from bad to good. So,
well, I will have to agree that Discover has come a very, very long way since its beginnings. In the beginning, it was pretty bad, but it has got to the point where, I did the updates. I specifically did the updates through Discover, just to check it out, because that's what I do when I check out Kubuntu, because I want to I don't want to do it through the terminal. I want to do it the way that the system has it, and it worked great. It was quick, and it didn't crash, and that was the best thing. So,
I'm the same way. I was this thing. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to join the other builds from the past couple of weeks. Kind of regret not getting in on the discussions on the old school way of having to do things with blowing up monitors and stuff like that. But I did want to point this out, because this is something I almost forgot, because I wanted to do a lot of things on command line, because that's how I started. And back before you even had GUI ways of installing packages and stuff, and even before they even had apt and Debian. But one thing I have noticed since this has been mostly positive is I'm going to bring it up right now. Discover works, but it comes up with a really weird error, and I'm not sure if I should file a bug report on this or not, because I'm going to go and click on Discover. It's going to come up and says no release found GUID, and then it has a whole bunch of letters, numbers, and then goes away. And then when I go down to up to date and then click check for updates, no releases found, and then it says it has letters and numbers and says was not found. But
yeah, I'd file a bug. That's bug worthy.
Yeah, because when I first installed it, it came up after it was doing everything, because I logged into Firefox and had it added all my plugins, my LastPass, and et cetera, and installing Telegram. And then it came up and said, oh, you've got updates. And I clicked on it, and it came up, and it didn't do that first. It just came up. It was downloading all the repo information and everything, and then it went through and installed everything. I went back. And I don't know why. I just always go back and check for updates just to make sure that the updates didn't need updates. And I guess that's years of using Windows, where the updates have siblings. But that's when I noticed that it's doing that, and there's no updates for me to get. So I'm not sure if mine's broken. But I did install Telegram, and I did install Zoom, so it is working, but
that's definitely not normal, dude.
Yeah,
definitely
no, it's still not normal. And the good thing is, like, when you file the bug, it'll know, it'll collect some information about your system and of what you have installed. So so the developers will be able to look at that and know that even though it's your unique situation that is having a bug, it'll help them narrow it down. So I would definitely file that.
But I'm pretty well impressed. Like I was telling some of the people in the Mintcast group, I had used Kubuntu since they started using Plasma. That's been a long time. I think I actually looked it up. I think it was, my mind just went blank again. But it's been a long time since I've tried Kubuntu, and I'm pleasantly surprised. And I've been purposely installing the snaps just to give them another try. And like Rocco was saying, trying to do more GUI things instead of resorting to going down on the command line, because I've learned how to type since I was 5 years old. So I've been, not 5 years, since 5th grade. So I've been typing about 30 years. So it's just second nature to me. But that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Dale. Appreciate it. Vince, sir, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. But I think JJ had his hand up before I did.
Okay, all right. JJ,
Oh, you're trying to avoid him?
No.
No. JJ. See, this is why I didn't call JJ. This is exactly why.
Where you go, JJ?
Way to go, Dr. Random. Go ahead, Vince.
I'll go then. Okay. Actually, my comment wasn't quite going to be about Ubuntu because currently it's actually still installing in VirtualBox. Because I plan to be the anti-Tony and maybe be the last person to install on the stream. But no, actually, it was actually for Dale because I just at the start of what you were saying you're having trouble with the spelling in Telegram. And if Eric Adams was here, he'd probably tell you to go and look at his channel because he's made a video about how to fix that. And so apparently it's something to do with, if I recall, you got to make sure you have a spelling package installed, which is ASpell or Handspell, and also a language app package for one of those programs.
I was going to check for ASpell, but I had like 5 minutes to get my microphone checked and get onto the show here. So I was thinking that too, because it is also when I was catching up on listening to the old back episodes of Biddle, where Popey and Wimpy was saying about how they're making changes to a snap and fixing things and saying it pretty much is up to whoever built the snap is how it functions. So that's why I wasn't sure if somebody just didn't include the spell check libraries.
I'm not quite sure if what he did was on a snap package, but you could try it and see if it works.
Yeah, because I'm new to the snaps. I've tried to avoid them only because I'm just old school. I like doing stuff from the repo. So, but yeah, thanks. Oh yeah, okay. I did check his one of his videos for the dock. I can't remember the name of it, but a dock that it's installed default on Farron.
Latte dock.
Latte dock, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to try that out. So that's why I watched.
Can't wait till Eric gets back here himself to tell us.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Eric's. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Or even Tyler. Tyler's a big latte dock person too.
All right, JJ, are you around yet? All right. Colin, sir, you got your hand up.
Have I?
Are you going to talk to us?
Yes. Well, I installed Kubuntu. Didn't have a lot of time to play around with it this week, but I don't know if this is new. They've got Thunderbird as the default mail client. Is that new or has that been a while? I don't know.
No, that's new for this release.
I think that's fantastic. And they must have listened to people because so many people were having problems with the default mail. I think having Thunderbird in there is just a great move for Kubuntu themselves. So
I'll follow up on that and I'll say, mail clients for Linux are hard to find a really good, full-featured mail client.
Yep.
I'll say that.
Well, Kmail was hard to use. I could never figure it out. And I think if you're going to have such a good-looking desktop environment, you need something that's easy to use for the average person who wants to jump on and just use it. I think Kubuntu itself, looking at the positives, their desktop, just looking at it, is of a standard of Windows, no doubt about it. It's nice, it's easy on the eyes, the icons look fantastic, and if you're not a gamer or anything, you just want to use something and you're not going to tinker around with it too much, it's an awesome desktop, and it's fast. Discover works well now. I think there's a lot of positives in Kubuntu. Yes, the settings are a bit of a nightmare to use and very hard to find things, but it's like anything else. If you're passionate about it, you like it, you'll get to use it. Once you use it quite a few times, you'll get to know where the things are. So, I mean, that's like anything. It's like with the new job is pretty much a standard for any given thing that you're doing in life. You do it long enough, you get used to it. But I think they've really done a good job of this desktop on this one. Thunderbirds, to me, it's just an absolute bonus for Kubuntu, I believe. So it's very snappy, I've noticed. Really, really snappy and runs really fast. So good job to Kubuntu, I reckon. I reckon they've done a good job on this one.
Yep, agreed. All right. Anybody else want to talk about Kubuntu? Matt.
I'd forgotten, since you mentioned Kmail, if you haven't tried to set Kmail up with Gmail, you run into a new nightmare of problems there because KDE is not cleared with Gmail. So you have to jump through some extra hoops, but there is some help out there in the internet. So if anybody's really trying to set Kmail up, you got to jump through some extra hoops with Gmail.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Tried that. I can't get it to work. I don't know why, but it really doesn't like the way that Kmail acts for some reason.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why they went to Thunderbird, honestly, is so that they could avoid situations like this where, people can't connect to one of the most popular email services there is. So,
yep. All right. Anybody else want to get in on Kubuntu?
I just wanted to say, Rocco, if I can.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of what Chicken said about Kubuntu. I think a little while ago, Chicken said that it's one of those desktops where you can, if you like to set it up in a particular way, it's really good for that. Like Dan said, it's modular, and if you like your desktop a particular way, it's really good to set up, and it's made that way. You're either that particular user, or you're just a standard user who just installs it and uses it. So I think there's two different users there, and also online accounts. I think for such a stunning desktop, I think they should have I think they have the most minimalized amount of online accounts out of most of the desktops. And I think that would be something a lot of people use these days. I'm not sure. I just wanted to get that out.
Dig it.
As the G Drive actually, or the Google Drive, given a actual app for the for Linux, so you can access it through Dolphin and or.
But you do have. Believe it uses the WebDAO protocol, so you can access it almost through anything, really.
There is a couple programs, and I want to say, Grive, I think it was called.
Grive, InSync is another one.
But like nothing, officially from Google.
No, but most of the Ubuntus now, if you set up your Google account in online accounts, they have the drivers in there that you can access it through your file manager. Just go under other locations and it'll just automatically show up there.
Yep, I can access that on Pop as well. Yep. All right, anybody else for Kubuntu 2004?
Hey, Rocco, can you hear me now?
Hey, there's Dr. Random. JJ, what's happening?
So this week I decided, after the show and the post-show last week, I decided to install Kubuntu on my laptop. And let's just say it's another chapter in the saga of struggling with a non-Thunderbolt docking station. For some reason, I'm also getting the focus issues on screen, similar to what another person in the chat mentioned earlier, such that even though I set my laptop screen to be primary, all my menu, my full screen menu, and sometimes my windows open up in the bigger monitor versus my laptop monitor, which is set as primary. But generally, KDE has been pretty good in terms of his experience. I mean, I don't get as many UI terrible stuff that I've had in other distros in the past, and comparatively speaking, it's a lot more quote unquote stable. Also, I was able to find a KDE spin of Yaru, and I was able to find that, which was pretty cool. Although I wish I could install the Yaru actual Surface theme on KDE, I can't find any KDE variants for the actual UI theme. The icon theme, there's a KDE spin of it, and it's pretty good. But all in all, KDE 2004, hopefully a lot to. Hopefully it's yeah.
Good. We ended it on a positive note. Thank you, JJ. Appreciate it.
I guess.
All right. I guess that's going to wrap up our thoughts on Kubuntu 2004. I again, none of this was meant to bash anybody or take anything away from the amount of work that was done for Kubuntu. This is just our real world experiences of how we saw it. So I appreciate all of the work that the devs put into Kubuntu. And yeah, hopefully the next time we try it, we'll have a better experience than this time.
Looks like Joe's got something to add.
Joe.
I was going to say it's actually a good thing that we're this picky. That means everything else we're using has advanced and has gotten good. So it's not a bash on Kubuntu. It's just our expectations have been raised because we're getting out of the box wonderful things, and we want Kubuntu to be out of the box wonderful thing as well. So they'll get there. It's just, again, some little, as Popey would say, or Wimpy would say, paper cuts at this point, it feels like.
Yep. And no
I
matter.
Sorry,
go ahead,
Ryan.
Colin. Go ahead.
I have to agree with that, because how many times have we said on here about Kmail and difficult, hard to use, and it looks like, you know, somewhere along the line someone has heard the voice and made a change. So, you know, so if we are picky, like you said, I think it's only better for Kubuntu moving forward, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think they've made a good steady progression. There's some other applications too that they've made some changes on, and you know, you got to take baby steps sometimes, and you know, as long as you're making baby steps forward, then that's the right way to go.
Well, again, you got to look at the people behind this, behind the Kubuntu project, are not getting paid for it. They are all volunteers, so they're trying to work this stuff in from their real life. And I know, you know, just in my own personal life right now, yeah, I'm super busy, and trying to work things in is just like almost impossible. So, yeah, that's also got to be taken into account.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's tough to keep up with all of the changes that go on, and Plasma is no exception.
Yep. All right, so we are going to move on to bigger and better things. No, I don't think so. I have some. So before I start out, has any of you upgraded from anything to 2004? Not reinstalled, but upgraded.
Yes, I did it the day after payroll's released.
Okay, so how many of you have had problems upgrading?
None.
Not really. No.
Dave and me. That just shows you right there.
It was actually Kubuntu too. I updated my Kubuntu install, and I have a lot of third-party software that I have in, and a lot of PPAs, and it just ripped out half my system. And so even when I went,
were you able to fix it, Dave?
I didn't feel like taking the time, so I nuked and paved. But then the problem I ran into is that it seems like a lot of the Python 2 dependencies for a lot of software are suddenly gone.
Ding, 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 ding,
so I was hunting down all those deb files off of Debian SID repos to install through dpackage just to get my software that I use on a regular basis back up and running.
So I had a similar problem. I had Git Kraken, and I have to have that in order to do work that I do efficiently. And when I did the upgrade, because I did the advanced way and did dist upgrade instead of just apt upgrade, it ripped out Git Kraken and a couple other packages. If you have that issue, we actually talked about this on a previous BDLL. They suggest using the snap because it will have the Python 2 it needs in the snap. I have since moved to using the Git Kraken snap, and I haven't had any major issues. There's like a small little issue where it doesn't see the file system in the way I'm used to, but it's not a huge deal.
Okay, dinosaur. I'm a DOS baby. I'm used to the command line. Yeah. I'm used to like repo apps, not snaps and flatpaks.
No,
I'm an old fogey.
I can explain some of the Python 2 stuff. Like, so it got removed actually in Debian first, right? I mean, because Python 2 has been deprecated.
Right.
And so because of that, in 2004, being an LTS, because it got removed there, it got removed in 2004 as well. So unfortunately, all of the packages that were Python 2 that that use those libraries were encouraged to upgrade them to Python 3, change over, or they were at the risk of being dropped from the repositories. And
right.
so
This was in no way anything against Kubuntu or
Right.
Ubuntu in general. It's just that's the issue I ran into, and how I got around it. But that is nothing against Ubuntu and what they've done.
I just wanted to explain why, because a lot of people are going to question why. What
Why,
your thing
Dan?
broke?
Why?
Yeah, no, right? No,
It's
it broke.
old. It's deprecated. Get
My
rid of it.
system
I
broke.
understand
Why,
that.
Dan?
Yeah. So I mean, because it's vulnerable, right? So I mean, as things don't get updated, the longer it sits there, the more vulnerabilities are come out. So you need, it needs to move to the new version, and if it doesn't move, then we've got to let it go, right? So I don't know.
I just wish that if you did the upgrade, that it would kind of say, "Hey, we pulled out Python 2. You got stuff on your system that needs Python 2. Maybe you shouldn't upgrade."
Well, Rocco, you need to remember your Linux is still supposed to hurt.
Dude. So look,
I mean, it does tell you that it's going to remove those, but it does. You're right. It doesn't tell you it's going to remove those before you start. So
If
you got a good point.
If you do the upgrade through the advanced way, like manually on the command line, and when you do the upgrade, do apt upgrade, not apt dist upgrade, all of your files, all those apps that require the Python 2 will not get removed. Dist upgrade tells apt that it can remove packages if it needs to. Apt upgrade tells apt not to do that. Just
I
upgrade,
followed
don't
their recommended
exactly.
upgrade path.
Thomas, I didn't know that, so but I followed the exact. Okay, so here's the deal. All right, so I see all you guys upgrade to 2004, and I have not upgraded to 2004 since it came out. I see Jason Evangelo upgraded to Pop 2004 with no problems. Everybody's loving 2004. And I'm in the middle of podcasts, in the middle of recording, all of this stuff, and I'm like, okay, so I gotta find a time where I have the time in case something happens that don't have to have a recording out the next day or whatever. So I finally get a moment where I can upgrade, and I'm like, okay, it's either now or I wait another couple weeks before I can upgrade. So I go to the Pop website. I put in the recommended commands, and I can't tell you them verbatim, but I did the recommended commands in the terminal. I copied and pasted from the internet. You should never do. And I started to go through the update. So what it did is it downloaded all the packages it needed. It rebooted into its own little update system thingy and started the upgrade process. And halfway through, had an error, and it said it failed to upgrade. I reboot, and I get nothing except a white screen with a little frowny face that says, "I'm sorry, we can't log you in."
And that's because you copied and pasted, right?
That's exactly right, Jason. You got it. No, that's not right, because that's the way I was supposed to do it. But anyway, so I drop to a terminal and I try to, get something going from there. So I finally am able to get back in the system, but I cannot do anything because it is stuck in dependency, whatever, with Python 2, because Python 2 got removed and it's looking for 2.71 and it has 2.72 and all this other stuff. It was completely jacked up no matter what I did. Now, everybody asks all the time why I run Pop OS. And, we always talk about the reasons, but another reason why is because I don't even have a computer from System 76. And I reached out to Emma at System 76, and she said to me, okay, here's a resource for you to look at before I can get back to you on this, but let me get back to you and we'll work on fixing this. Now, I'm not a System 76 customer, and yet they would take the time to help out somebody with Pop OS. That is pretty awesome. So, yes. I was still stuck, and because of the time zone delay of where they are, where I am, there was a couple hours behind, and we were not connecting as far as getting help like right then when I needed it. So I did run the commands that were given to me, but none of them fixed it. I searched the internet. None of the solutions fixed anything that I was doing. So I did the only thing that I could possibly do, and that was start backing up my system so I could reinstall 2004. But then I reached out to Popey and said, please help. Please help me. And, you know, this is, I guess, 11 o'clock his time, almost midnight that I'm doing this. And he stayed up with me. And we went on a Zoom call, and we went through all these terminal commands, and we went through all of this stuff. And finally, he was able to help me fix it. And I thought that was awesome of both Emma and of Popey. And now I have a working 2004 Pop! OS system that I didn't have to reinstall. So there you go. That was my upgrade woes.
Like they say, come for the OS, stay for the community.
Yep. Yep. Now, that doesn't mean everybody should reach out to Popey, because like he's only one guy. He can't help everybody, but I had like no other choice but to reach out. Like, he was my last resort. I didn't want to reach out to him, but he was my last resort, and he came through like the awesome guy that he is. So,
hey, Rocco, do you know what it actually was? Like, what piece of software it was that
it was
had
Python. It was,
but do you
but
know?
there was Play on Linux, depended on. Now, see, a lot of this stuff I had installed, like programs, because I've had this on since last April, that I installed but never used. Like Jack. Jack actually is one of those programs that counts on Python. And that's something I had installed but never, went too far into it, and then just said, you know what, I don't have time for it. It was Jack, it was Play on Linux, and it was a few others. But nothing that I really used on a daily basis. It just happened to be installed on my system. And that's why I said to you, Dan, like, shouldn't there be a way where, like, that the upgrade scans for something like Python to say, hey, we're going to remove this, do you really want to upgrade? I mean, I know it says, do you really want to upgrade? I know that it gives you the choice, but it doesn't say, hey, this is really going to blow up your system if you remove this.
Because I think they hope they know that they're not going to do that, right? I mean,
the thing is, it does.
You can't test all the things to know.
I know.
Well, they put that. Do you really want to update in there because they know something's going to happen? And
so as a district,
like when you do the sudo apt dist upgrade, it says this will be removed, this will be upgraded.
I understand.
And this will be installed.
I understand that. It doesn't
as a
say
distro
you will have a unusable system after we do this. It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
It only will say that.
So you're saying it should say, warning, this may break your system?
That's exactly what it should
That's where
there are some situations where it will say that. If you try to remove a package that is marked as required, then it will tell you that,
and I guess what I'm saying, Thomas, is maybe it should say that for that.
And the other thing, Thomas, is that, when I put that in, the items to be removed were listed and flew by and were replaced by the 4,000 packages that were going to be installed or upgraded. So that little "these will be removed" was seen on my screen for maybe like a quarter of a second.
Absolutely.
Not enough time for me to see what they were.
No,
and that's why you
totally get that.
And why you don't do it in a TTY. Because if you do it in a TTY, then you can't scroll back up. You need to do it in a terminal. That's the big deal.
Listen, all right. So here's the thing: you should always have a backup, right? Before you start.
I was just about to say that.
Before you started, an upgrade.
You mean you don't back up after it's messed up?
No, you really shouldn't.
Okay, good.
Well, my personal files are always backed up. They're on a separate drive. It's just so I nuke and paste.
That's great. That's great. So you have that option where you can do that, and that's pretty critical because, like, you got to give the distro maintainers a little bit of leeway here. They've only got so much that they can test.
Like I said, this is nothing against them.
No, I know. I'm just saying they can't test all the packages that you could possibly install because that just is way too much.
And on all the hardware that's possibly out there.
Right. So, yeah. So there's that, right? And so the upgrade path obviously works a whole lot better if you don't stray too far from what comes included with the base system. Once you start it does start to break down once you get away from that, no doubt.
Well, let
And
me
so-
ask you, Dan. I mean, I get that, but let me ask you. With something, I'm not a developer, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it too much, or is it too hard, or would it be too big of a problem for when something comes along like Python that is pretty heavily used, not just some fly-by-night, back-end library. It's a pretty heavily used program that when they decide to remove it, like say from 2004, that they put that scan in during the upgrade process to say, hey, we know this might be a big deal, might break some systems, so we should probably scan for this. Is that too much, or is that, I don't know.
It seems like a reasonable enough warning. I mean, all right. So if you look at the upgrade, if you look at the release notes for Ubuntu 2004, it tells you shouldn't upgrade from 1804 because you're changing desktop environments. You're going from LXDE to LXQ, right?
Right.
And so because of that change, there's no way we can really, make sure you aren't going to break something, really bad. You should back up and you should reinstall afresh. And that's what it says in the release notes. And I know they did that for like the KDE 4 to 5,
right.
They did the same thing there too. The same warnings. Like, all right, if you want to go try it, go ahead. But I mean, you really should probably start fresh. And so I think there's been some points where that's a fair statement. You should make sure that you do back up and you start over again, because you might break something. So I don't know. And that's a possibility anytime you do the upgrade.
Right.
The question I have is, Dan, you mentioned earlier that, upgrades are a lot easier the closer you stay to the base installed system.
Yeah.
How many people here tonight stay close to the base installed system?
Yeah, I know. I get it. I'm just saying the further you stray away from it, the more likely you are to break something, right?
Well, I think a lot of people in this chat are probably far away from the base
probably
system.
true. You add a whole bunch of PPAs on there and some extra
Snaps.
software and this and that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And you don't know what's going to happen. It's just, it gets unpredictable, I guess.
Is this where snaps comes in handy? So if you're running a lot of things on snaps, you don't stray too much from the
flat packs.
Yeah,
well, basically, I think we're getting to the
or Fedora Silverblue.
Oh, that was the other program that needed Python. YouTube-DL is another program that needs Python. So it's like,
I guess basically the moral of the story is this, as Dan was saying, is have backups for your backups, and then do fresh installs. Like possible, keep all your important files on a separate hard drive. Keep all your OS stuff onto on an OS drive, and that way, if you do have to rinse and repeat, as I call it, you don't lose anything important. Myself, I'm here in NASA back here, and I have a computer over here that runs that's my file server. So all my files, like I have it automatically backed up to the network to a huge drive in that machine from all my other systems, Linux, my Windows system, my Mac, everything just gets backed up over there. So it's all in a central location. Then I have that backed up to another drive internally. So I have two drives with my information on it, so that if one of them happens to die, it's the information is covered. So yeah, I learned the hard way. I lost all of my information in a house fire a few years, 6 years ago. So I learned backup. I even have extra space in the cloud that I keep everything document-wise important up in the cloud.
And one other suggestion that I have is, like Rocco, finding those deb files to install to deal with dependencies. Anytime I come across that and have to track down a file that has to be installed to deal with a dependency for something I use, that goes into my save file and say, so if I nuke and pave and go to reinstall and it's like, oh, this dependency is missing, I just flip over to that, install it there, and then the software I was trying to install, I can get right in. And having all those, anytime I come across one that I have to track down, I make sure to keep it so I don't have to track it down again.
Good point. Daniel?
Yeah, and that's from experience. That really is. I mean, I do the same thing, and I have all the important files are sitting up on my file server. I have stuff. Everything is also backed up on on external drives, which you can't see because of the my virtual background. And that's what I do, which everybody should do. And I got all those dependencies, all those weird files that you took forever to find.
Yep.
And I also always, just for some reason, although I have them backed up, on every machine that may require them, for some silly reason, I keep those deb files in my downloads. So I have the same files in half dozen different places. And that's what works. And that's from experience. I mean, we've all gone through, I'm sure we have and almost everybody here has lost massive amounts of data and files over the years by forgetting to back up.
Backups for your backups.
Yep. And that's what I do. And my friends laugh at me. They're the ones who
probably don't have backups.
Yeah, my one friend with my Mac's telling me I haven't made a backup in 380 days.
It's a long time. Yeah.
It's a very long time. And I said, so what do you think you should do?
Once a week.
Yeah. And so I said, what do you think you're supposed to do? Do you think I should back it up?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So now she's much better. I remind her. I'll text her, have you done a backup lately? So at least she's once every couple of weeks now.
Daniel, stop poking your glasses and jump in.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. So I'm the only reason I was asking that question originally, Rocco, is because I did the Pop OS upgrade to 2004 and didn't have any problems.
Of course.
So no, because I was curious about maybe if I had any of that. I must not have any of that weird software. But the one that I did do, which surprised me, because I actually thought it was going to break, is it's not on here anymore. I actually wiped it out to put the Kubuntu on here, but I had dug out an old hard drive that had Mate 1604 on it, Ubuntu Mate 1604. And now it took 3 hours to do it, but I went from 1604 all the way to 2004. And it worked. And the way I did it was the update-manager-d command.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if that does something different with dependencies, because I know I had YouTube DL and all that kind of stuff on there. And I was able to get in and log in and carry on just fine.
Well, like I said, Pop has some specific commands that they used, including putting systemd in it somewhere. So it's not just a simple, apt dist upgrade or anything like that. It's specific commands.
Pop has their own. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for Pop, least I just went into the thing and clicked the, it gives you the notification, says, oh, there's a new release. Do you want to go to it? And I clicked yes, and that's.
Well, the problem was I wasn't getting that little pop-up. So I just got impatient and said, I got to do it.
Which version of Pop were you on, Rocco?
1910.
You were on the 1910 one? Okay.
Yeah, see, so
just curious.
Yep.
So, Rocco, I need to ask you, I'm pretty sure you have all your stuff on a separate data drive, though, don't you, or not?
I used to, Colin. But what I have right now is I have my documents on a separate drive off of the computer. And basically the data drive that I was using, I use to store the videos that I make, which is taking up most of everything on there. So there's no way to back all that up twice. It's too much storage to do, unless I want to spend, a couple hundreds of dollars on hard drives. But yeah, the data drive that I was using is being used for, Linux Spotlight episodes and stuff like that.
Right.
Big Pod.
I also did upgrade. Mostly I upgraded my servers, my three servers, VMs and servers. And it went without a problem, even though every time I ran do release upgrade command, I was biting my nails. Will it finish? Will it finish? Will it finish? And it takes a long time, but all 3 times it did finish. Only once, I believe, I had to reinstall 2 pieces of software that were from external repositories that were a bit more iffy. But after reinstall with the repositories for Focal, it worked great.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I've done a few of them and they've all turned out. I'm not saying don't try the upgrade. Certainly try that, but like if you had to, be ready to start over if it doesn't work out.
It didn't work out, Dan.
I'm sorry, Rocco. I really am. I mean, look, I
so wanted it to work. Like I so
we
wanted
want it to work every time. We really do. I mean, we try.
You know,
You had to double click on it, Rocco.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, if it's on the test machine, and it doesn't work, it's not a big deal. This is the main machine, and I so wanted it to just be smooth, and hey, I could come on here and say, man, upgraded Pop OS and it went super smooth, and no, I can't say that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Now, someone might argue that I should probably reinstall just to get rid of all those other programs that I don't use, because like Popey was on there. Do you use this? Like, nope. Then why is
you
it
might
on there?
want to for next time, though, right? I mean, maybe, right? Next time, maybe start over. Yeah.
Whenever I change operating systems, I always do clean installs, because you never know what kind of bugs you're gonna have when you're doing updates, upgrades, whatever.
Yep.
Updates are different. I mean, upgrades are like
Right.
full OS upgrade, and or just if you had to do like in this case going from 1910 to 2004, I would have just wiped it and gone started over from scratch.
Now you tell me.
Well, that's why I have a separate OS drive, so you never have to worry about and it's always at the OS drive is always the SSD or NVM or whatever they're called, those
NVMe,
NVMe.
Yeah, those the M2 drives, one of those or something, that's quick and helps the boot speeds. But as far as storage, I used I think I have right now. I have four 4 terabyte Barracudas. So I got the space for my server over there. A file storage it's got plenty to hold all the systems.
Yep.
I'm the same as Jason. I just don't think it ever feels the same when you upgrade as opposed to a fresh install. I always think the best experience is a fresh install to me.
Well, you're not bogged down by all the previous junk that's on there. It's a fresh, clean, it's smooth.
Well, not only that, but like there are certain things that, like for example, when I finally got back into 2004, the whole desktop looked different, and that's because some of the extensions were either broken or turned off. Like Dash to Dock. I had to actually go to get Dash to Dock from GitHub, because the regular Dash to Dock in the GNOME extensions area didn't work with the 2004. So when you boot into this system, it doesn't look like I had desktop icons and everything. So it just looks like it doesn't give you that fresh feel. You're right, Colin. Right. Just saying.
Dash to Dock didn't work for you out of the box?
It did not work for me out of the box. It was actually turned off with an error message in the extensions tweaks or whatever.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think I didn't have that on Pop. I had that on Ubuntu. I had to go, for whatever reason, Ubuntu didn't recognize in Firefox the GNOME extension dealy bob. But Pop, it just went. It just was there. You had other issues, I think.
There may have been other underlying issues there.
Pop had its own version of Dash to Dock installed, not the actual Dash to Dock extension. Because I went to the GNOME extensions.org website and installed Dash to Dock separately on my Pop installations.
So maybe, I don't know what the case is, but I did have the Dash to Dock extension installed, the actual Dash to Dock extension installed. So I'm not sure. Maybe when it did the upgrade, it had some, maybe it did mess that up, and I don't know. Either way, there was an error and you couldn't remove it. Like there was no way to remove it.
It could be too that I think Pop had that ability, to manage your extensions in 1904, 1910, whereas it was just kind of added this go around in Ubuntu. So maybe with that base, maybe there's just some little not playing nice stuff with it already in versus having to activate it. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you have Dash to Dock in before you went to upgrade?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Then it trying to put its own version in probably is what
maybe
that collision is probably what caused the lockup.
This is why you reinstall from scratch.
Yes, exactly. When you were doing the 2 docs, it probably corrupted some files in itself, trying to replace other files, and it was just like confused itself. And
Yep. Well, I mean, again, the desktop icons were turned on, which I didn't have them on, and I don't know what the default is in 2004 if they're on or off. But they were all on, and I had all these weird files because like over the years of or a year of installing different programs, there's shortcuts on the desktop that I never see because I don't have it turned on. So it
was messing with you.
Looked really out of place, dude.
Sounds like your installation went pop with an exclamation mark.
That's
Rocco.
pretty funny.
Yeah,
Michael would be proud of you, Colin.
Derek's got his hand up.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I need a little bit of encouragement to get back on the Linux bandwagon. I've been playing on my Chromebook and playing Stadia too much, I think. And my desktop's been turned off for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I think, maybe a little bit more.
Well, I don't think. Go ahead.
He's enjoying rolling updates on his laptop there.
Yeah, I don't think you need encouragement, dude.
Sometimes, something, don't worry about it. You'll get back to Linux. You know, it's going to sit there and it's going to call your name and it's going to keep saying, Derek, where are you? We miss you. And all of a sudden you will say, oh, why am I using this Chromebook? And,
Barbara, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're coming from experience.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I flipped that. My idea of distro hopping is to go from Ubuntu Mate to my Mac and back.
and did your PC have shades and holding up both the blue pill and the red pill?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think his Chromebook will be going, why are you still using this Chromebook? I think it'll be, why do you still have Chrome OS on this Chromebook?
Right?
Yeah, aren't you supposed to, with some of the newer Chromebooks, you can put Linux on them? And
It has
that's
Linux on there, actually.
Yeah,
okay.
But it's
apps, yeah.
containerized. It's a containerized app, basically, from what I've been able to figure out.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you can install KDE on there.
There you go.
Nice.
But you mean you haven't been answering, you have not answered the call of your other computer, of your Linux box.
Not apparently yet. No,
Nope,
he's been like a week and a half. So
Yeah, ooh. You see, my thing is I just kind of flip back and forth during the day. And it's like, oh, I'll do this on this one and that on the other one.
now that's a true distro hopper, right
I'm the
there.
same way, Barb. That's why NASA back here. I have 4 desktops, 3 laptops, so I use everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. And then
Schizophrenic.
it's like, if I will have one sitting on the dining room table. So when I'm like in there and I'm eating and I'm reading, I can, use that one. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, but I do have to confess, not all my machines are, Linux based.
How
I have,
dare
I have
you.
the Mac. I have the Mac here. I have my work machine, which is Windows. My file server, which is Windows.
How
And
dare you.
Yeah.
The rest are. Well,
I
actually, the
have-
new machine. I just got a new Ryzen 7 here. That was given to me by my brother. He's like, I have no space for this. Here, have it. And it's like,
And of course you didn't turn it
if you're
down.
gonna twist my arm, And so I ended up with another computer down here, and that's what I'm actually on right now. Is that machine?
Well, the desktop I'm on is running POP, but I've got the Windows disk to flip out, and my AC dock, and the Kubuntu disk, and of course the Arch disk.
Right.
Honestly, I'm actually going through a small phase of distro hopping right now. I'm trying to find the right distro for my Rock Pro 64 because I want something lightweight so the CPU doesn't get too hot and cause the fan to spin because it hurts my mom's ears. But I want something that has all the tools I will need and is also preferably has a package manager that I've used before.
Gentoo.
Why not go LTT water cool?
Manjaro with Xfce.
I was just going to say about Manjaro.
I actually just tried that, and I have a problem with it. I just got the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module for my Rock Pro 64, and Manjaro ARM Xfce does not come with the drivers for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module out of the box. And I want that because then I can use my Bluetooth keyboard with my Rock Pro 64 once I hook it up to my TV.
Maybe. I mean, I would think that Manjaro is usually on top of that kind of stuff. Have you suggested to them on the forums about them drivers?
No, I just discovered it like right as the stream was starting. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'll probably go talk to them somewhere.
Have you tried reading the Arch Wiki?
Not yet.
Did you just tell him to RTFM, Dave?
Dude, you're always supposed to start with the wiki.
My intentions right now
moi.
Oh, no, that's good. Now, that is good training.
Yeah, it is.
You see, I mean, you know, it's better than just dead reckoning and how to get there.
Rocco, he actually told him RTAW.
Yes, you're right. You're right, Vash. Good point.
My intentions right now are I'm going to try Ubuntu Server 2004. If I can't get that running, and I don't have very high hopes for it running, I'm going to try Armbian again, because that's what I had running on it before. If I can't get that running, we're probably going to go try Manjaro Xfce again.
Did you look at the AUR?
No, because so I'm like right here over top of my router, and I have an Ethernet cable running to my laptop, but I can't, in good conscience, just unplug the Ethernet cable right this second because I'm kind of busy and I don't want it to crash. So I might try, once we get done, pulling the Ethernet cable off my laptop and plugging it into the Rock Pro 64. Of course, I've already flashed the XD card with Ubuntu Server. So
you do understand that computers tend to be somewhat like magic in that having faith that something is going to work actually does help.
No. See, I've learned over the years, you go into this having zero faith it's going to work.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Having like 20 contingency plans.
That's no faith.
And then
I just
surprised when
assume,
contingency plan 2 works.
I assume everything's going to work.
Never assume it's going to work.
Never.
Assume the worst, hope for the best.
Yep.
That's the way you want to go about it. Because then I've been trained since birth, basically, to be prepared. I am a Boy Scout. It's what I do. So I go into it assuming nothing's going to work. I have a bunch of contingency plans. And then when the first 1 or 2 works, great. If none of them works, okay, I was prepared for this. I have contingency plan Z over here.
Okay, then the trick is you need to shift your thinking, because I'm the same way. It's just a matter of I have faith it's going to work because I know I have all the tools set up to make it work.
Wow.
I have the tools to make it work. It's just the timing wasn't very favorable right this second.
Glass half empty, glass half full. I love it.
This is more of like the glass is half full of water and half full of air.
Are you trying to sugarcoat the fact that you're, half glass, half empty, Thomas? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, he's trying to say his glass is full and has a crack in it.
Accurate, very accurate.
He's being optimistic about his pessimism.
I can go with that too.
No,
Or
he's
just
a
drink the
realist.
glass of water.
Dribbling.
Yep. All right, so we got a couple minutes left. I do want to go over some emails, but do you guys have anything you want to bring up? Anything you've been doing interesting? Open floor. Throw it out
I've
there.
been doing nothing but working. That's why you guys haven't seen me for a while. It's this. Although Bank of America is still sending more and more people to work from home, and they call in because they're on these the most horrible thing ever, which is Chromebooks. And sorry, Derek, but the Chromebooks don't work well with the Bank of America systems. As far as like they use them just to remote into virtual machines and remote into their desktops at work, and it just does not like Citrix. It doesn't like it. Yeah, they don't like the work.
I have been familiarizing myself with OBS because somebody talked me into at least considering streaming some development stuff like Popey and Wimpress were doing.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not
So
going to do it, but
what do you mean you're not going to do it?
I'm not sure if I'm going to.
Oh,
do it.
okay, all right.
Yeah, I might.
That sounds like something Vince said once.
Oh.
Hey, there's Steve. What's happening,
Hey.
Steve?
That's the first thing he says when he gets in here.
Feel the love, Vince. Feel the love.
Steve is best boomer.
Oh man,
Adam's my man.
Touch that.
I got the coolest news the other day.
Yeah.
Star Trek Strange New World is coming in 2021. Taking place with Captain Pike.
Nice.
Yep.
So it's
about a
gonna be
decade before Kirk.
Right.
Isn't it supposed to be like a prequel series?
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
It's like it's basically it's going to like the new movies where they have Pike in the new movies. There,
Mhm.
it's going to be 10 years before that.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Are
in
they
the
running
alternate
Linux?
timeline.
No, it's in the
Something-
Discovery timeline.
Of course.
But it's the best. It's the actual best of Discovery that they aired in the second season.
Isn't saying the best of Discovery like the best out of a junkyard? I mean, it's like
Wow, Nate.
Well, there's
Talk
Nate.
about
Hey, you can find some nice things in the junkyard.
Mr. Positive.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Mr. Positive.
We
Mr.
got
Negative.
obstinate here. That's what we got.
Just because Star Trek is his ultimate niggle.
I love Star Trek, but I have not really loved the new Star Trek. Picard was okay, but I think Discovery is a bunch of hot garbage.
Wow.
DS9.
DS9 and the Next Generation are the best two. My opinion.
I thought Deep Space Nine was the bad one.
Deep 6-9? What?
Space.
You were watching the wrong show.
buddy.
Deep 6-9. Wrong channel.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Rocco. Sorry.
Michael says Voyager is the best.
Who's trying to deep 6, 7 of 9?
All right, moving on. I got
Hey,
some
yeah.
emails to
Yeah, Rocco.
go
Oh.
over, if you guys don't mind. I'm not going to read the full emails out because some of them are pretty long. But I do want to mention that we did get emails from Larry Murphy, Johnny Solbu, and the reason I wanted to bring up Johnny's was because last week he tried to get into Biddle and he couldn't because we didn't recognize his name, and we are. Kind of, like I said before, vetting the people that come in. So he right away went to the Discourse forums and posted there and said, hey, I'm trying to get in and I can't. And we ended up sorting it out and he was able to get in. So if you guys are having that issue, it's a good way to communicate. The contact form or the Discourse form. Either way, he did both. So we were able to sort out his issues. Another one was from Mark Murphy as well. That was a great email. But I wanted to bring up the one from Marnessa. And if you remember the whole Jamaican government thing with Q4OS. So she said, we wanted to update you and your entire panel that the Jamaican government is now highly considering MX Linux as the entire IT team feels this would be a much better choice instead of Q4OS.
Whoa.
So they look forward to moving forward with MX Linux in all departments in the summertime. So that is, I think, an update to what we were talking about. But what do you guys think of that?
That's awesome. I think it's a good idea.
As long as they're on Linux.
I think so too.
Yeah.
As long as it's not custom.
As long as what, JJ?
As long as it's not custom Linux like they did in Germany.
It would be MX Linux.
They're going back to Linux.
JJ, it would
Kind
be
of like
MX
custom
Linux.
Yeah, but there's a difference between MX Linux and a custom Linux, like what Germany did when they just was shifted over from Windows to Linux.
It wasn't all of Germany, it's just Munich.
But they didn't
Okay.
say they were going
Yeah.
to a custom Linux. They said they were going to MX. Yeah, am
I
I?
said
I think
am I
they were
still?
looking to get a custom.
Is
They
this
just
thing on?
wanted to make sure they could get the support.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
I think JJ just grabs like a little segment of it and then runs off into a corner. That's kind of it.
Well, we love you, JJ. I'm just saying.
Well, Dolphin's saying he's relocating to Jamaica now.
Is that what he's saying?
He's
really
having
Bill
to
come?
defend himself.
It's awesome for them. No, really, it's good. I think, if it works for them and it's, that's a solid distribution. I don't see why, that's a bad choice. So.
I'm wondering why the switch to MX only because I was originally under the impression that one of the reasons they were choosing Q4OS was because of the support option. I didn't realize, I don't think MX does like that kind of a support. So maybe they just decided they're able to handle the support end of it, through their IT team, and going to go with MX. I think, to me, MX is a better option. There's no question that MX is a better option than Q4OS, but I just kind of trying to,
Well, I mean, I guess there's really good community support too. So, I mean, even though it's not paid support, I mean, it's still got some sort of option. So, I mean, that's pretty great.
Did Jamaica did they do a survey about if anybody used Linux on the island? If there's anybody who...
Well, it's not the whole island. It's just the, parts of the government.
Yeah, just a part of the government there.
What I'm curious as to how they went from Q4OS and was steered in the direction of MX. Anyone know how that happened, or?
No, I don't know exactly what, you only get a certain amount of information when the emails come through. So yeah, I can't answer that. I'm not sure how they found out about MX, or, it seems to me that a couple of them are pretty into the Linux community. Maybe not even vocal, like you may not know who they are or see them, but they obviously are in the Linux community trying out other distros. Otherwise they wouldn't even be coming up with Q4OS to begin with. So yeah, I think that's a pretty awesome decision.
I agree.
Also, this brings the question: is there a certain reason why certain governments don't consider Ubuntu?
It's a good question.
Don't know, JJ.
I don't know. I mean, there's support there too. I mean, I don't know if cost was a factor. But
Is there a reason they don't consider Arch?
Wow, man.
Well, I would think.
No.
I would think.
No.
I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to burn their boomer employees.
Yeah.
I like this young man a lot.
He has a sharp tongue.
Yep. Well, either way, that's the update on the emails. And I just want to say I appreciate all of the people using the contact form, sending in their emails. You can use the discourse forums to start chatting or introduce yourself. There's a lot of people that actually have introduced themselves on the discourse forum that I never see on BDLL, like never see on the live stream or anything. They just would rather use that communication. And that's fine. So keep that coming as well. And so I'm not trying to make it an ad spot, but there are some people that just literally do not know about, like, maybe they're new to BDLL or whatever, but we have a Telegram group which has a couple hundred people, and it has people that care and are willing to help you out. So if you want to join that, it's all of the BDLL communications stuff, whether it's Discourse, Discord, Telegram, is all under the bigdaddylinux.com / whatever it may be. So it's bigdaddylinux.com / Telegram. And that will get you to the Telegram group. Same thing for Discord, same thing for Discourse. So it's pretty easy to remember. So if you want to join, feel free. All right. I think that's all I got as far as what I wanted to cover. I do have a question for you guys, though. What are your guys' general thoughts on LBRY? LBRY.TV.
Meh.
I'm iffy about it too. I like that it is easier to make money on it if that's what you're trying to do, but I don't like that you have to do transcoding yourself. I uploaded a video recently to both YouTube and LBRY.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube, I uploaded it, they transcoded it themselves, did the whole gobbledygook, that whole thing. LBRY, I needed the latest version of the LBRY client, and I needed FFmpeg installed. And it transcoded the video on my system. Now, thankfully, for my area at least, I have a pretty beefy machine, quad-core CPU, 1050 Ti. So it ripped right through it in like 5-10 minutes. But not everybody has that.
I'm pretty sure you have something like that.
Yeah.
So you would be perfectly fine with that. As far as like how much time it takes, it's just.
Well, I personally haven't uploaded any videos to LBRY. I have synced my YouTube channel, so all the videos are okay. So not all the videos are there because they have a 2-hour limit. Some of the videos, especially the Linux Spotlight episodes, are over 2 hours, so they didn't all get transferred over. But most of the videos are on the LBRY. I just haven't uploaded anything.
I know when you upload something, you have to stake some of your own LBC in the video. So if you have little to no LBC, then that's going to be an issue. Thankfully, LBC is actually really easy to get.
Yeah,
just like watch a video once a day, and you can get like 1 to 5 LBC a day.
Yep. Well, let me ask you, Colin and Steve and other guys that put out videos all the time. You know, what is your opinion on LBRY? Is that something you would switch to?
Well, I'm currently using it, but I'm doing the same as you, Rocco. I've synced my YouTube channel to it, so it just uploads everything automatically to LBRY. Seems okay. I was going to watch your latest interview, Linux Spotlight, on there, but it hasn't come through. I don't know if it has now. I looked yesterday, I think it was, but it wasn't there. So it seems to take a while before some of these videos come through as well, which is a bit of a downfall. Maybe that's just because it's been synced. It takes a bit of time, but I suppose if you uploaded it directly on LBRY,
it would be instant.
Yeah, because I was uploading to start. I got 2 accounts because I had an account before I actually synced it. So I uploaded about 3 videos. That seemed to work all right. So I don't know. I don't really look around much on there. I have been recently, but I'm just sort of still trying to work out how the whole thing works. Haven't been watching many videos on there. So I didn't realize you picked up, what's it called, LBC, if you're watching a video as well. So, yeah.
Steve, what do you think?
I haven't looked at it. I actually brought it up for the first time in like 3 weeks because I'm like, I better check this out and see how I'm kind of doing. I guess the real test would be because I sync my stuff too, is to, put specific videos up there to see if they get any type of play. I guess probably because it's so used to YouTube and the ease and simplicity of it and the searches that LBRY doesn't, plus every time I seem to turn it on, it needs to update, so it's constantly updating. I don't know. I'm still, I was thinking of making some videos and just putting them there specifically to see how they would do. Because they having it pick up off of YouTube, to me, it's almost like, what's the point? If they're going to watch it on YouTube. Now, there might be some. I mean, we all know there's a lot of people out there that don't like YouTube. To why they, I hear stuff constantly about PeerTube and all that. Why aren't you putting your stuff there? And to me, those are kind of like nightmares. I don't know. I maybe just see what specific content, just throwing it up there, not on YouTube either.
Well,
see if.
Go ahead.
No, to see if it gets any better hits or.
Well, I think out of all of the alternatives to YouTube, I think LBRY has the most chance for success just because of the way they've set it up with the LBC and how to get it and put it out there. But it just, I guess, lacks some things that it's not like, say, I could say, I'm moving to LBRY. I'm moving off of YouTube and I'm moving to LBRY because it doesn't even have a live stream part of it. So there's we could not have Biddle on LBRY. So I love the idea of there being that alternative, and I think they're doing really good things. I just got an email 2 days ago saying they were adding some type of monetary system for paid videos. They were adding that on top of the LBC. So I like where they're going or what they're doing. It's just that I don't think it's an alternative yet to switch a whole channel over to. It's great as an option for people who follow you that only want to use, like, they want to be away from Google, want to be away from YouTube, so they can still get your content. But I don't know. I don't know.
they've brought out something new this week. I think
got
Rocco
the-
was creator analytics. I think that's new in library, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that wasn't there before. Creator
It was
analytics.
for some time now, about a month. They have the creator analytics on their app.
Mm.
Yeah. So
And I've actually got 25 followers, so I'm pretty impressed with that. There seems to
Nice.
be a few people following on library, so people are actually watching it. So seems to be doing okay.
I guess the reason I bring it up is because I'm just, trying to gauge interest in it. Is that something out of everybody here? Would you watch videos on library that were solely on library? Is that even of interest, or would you just pretty much stick with YouTube?
It depends on what they're about. I personally don't care whether it's on YouTube or LBRY. I'll watch it on either one. It's just more about what is the video about, and is it easy to watch? So that's more of a, like, can LBRY serve it up to me as easily as YouTube can? And so far, I've had more issues watching videos on LBRY than I have on YouTube. I don't think it's a bad idea to do both. But
I think it depends on content, Rocco, because like you said, if you're a live streamer, which I'm not, then it's probably okay for you. But if you're live streaming, then you're going to have some issues, because I don't know if the live streams are actually synced as well. Are they, Steve? Live streams?
Yeah.
Some of them are strings, some of them are not. Basically, it's all depends on how long they are. If they are over an hour, you have, believe, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and if they are over 2 hours, you won't get them synced, no matter if they're video or stream.
Yep.
I guess you can always split up, do your live streaming on YouTube, and then say, I got this new video out. It's up on library.
Right.
And direct them there. And then, I mean, you know what it takes to edit something like this into a format that would be easier to watch, especially something on my channel where I take it really easy, and there's not a lot of straight up content. It's what we're talking about at the time, so there's a lot of dead space. So we can, I can always chop that up and maybe throw that up there and see how that does.
So I've got to ask, do you think library has the most potential of the YouTube alternatives? I mean, I think it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely most potential.
Absolutely.
There seems to be a lot of people hovering around library as well at the moment. So, they seem to be watching the videos and all that.
Yep.
And I think some of the settings at first were a little like, I didn't want to download a video to watch it,
Right.
And it's like, oh, you got to go deep into your settings to turn that off, and then to turn something else off or something on, or,
Right.
Are you considering a full switch? Is that?
No, I'm not considering a full switch. I just like to keep my eye on alternatives. So, like, for example, with Zoom is the best meeting program for this situation out there, but I still like to keep an eye on Jitsi and other ones. So, and it's the same thing with YouTube. I'm not switching away from YouTube, but the idea of switching away from YouTube is kind of like, I would consider that, but I'm not in any way switching from YouTube anytime soon. It's just the idea of having a different service is pretty cool.
Library is really cool. I think the issue is going to be path of least resistance. So YouTube is such a monster. It's just, you can go watch anything you want. So if it's available in both places, it's going to be hard to get people to move to library. However, if you have exclusive content and you have people that want your content, then I'll go wherever I need to go to get, I'll go to CBS All Access to watch Star Trek if that's what I need to do, but if it's in both places, people are just going to watch it on YouTube. So I think LBRY is a great idea. I think it was it the DLN guys had the founder on a few months back.
That was a great interview.
That was a great interview. It was.
At first I was skeptical. By the end of the interview, I was sold. So maybe he's a good salesman. Either way, it's definitely something to play with. It's a neat format. I like the blockchain use. It seems very creative, but if it's in both places, YouTube's going to win hands down. I just don't see that changing anytime soon.
It's not going to change anytime soon, but I've been using LBRY for about 3 months now as far as a consumer, and I try and do everything on LBRY first and then go, if it's not on LBRY, then go to YouTube, because the first thing I like about it is everyone I'm subscribed to, that's the first thing that comes up. I don't see anything from anyone else. I don't see anything for YouTube says, oh, you should go look at this. Why? No, I'm not. Or hey, you watched this 3 years ago. Watch it again. I like with LBRY, when I bring it up, I have my list. It's very easy. It's very easy to look at all the people who I have that I'm following and see, here's your stuff, here's your stuff, here's your stuff. What I love is their it's a repost feature. Like I can go in, and if I have people who are following me, if I go in and look at one of Rocco's videos, I can repost it, and it basically just says, now it puts it on. Now they may not know who Rocco is or be a Big Daddy Linux follower, but if they're following me and I repost it, now they're going to see it. And it's a great way for content that I'm following to show people who are following me some of the stuff I watch and keep them interested in it. And that's something
like Twitter in that aspect.
Wait, you mean there are people out there who don't know who Rocco is?
Yes, maybe that's a bad example.
No, I don't believe that.
While we're on the subject of YouTube, I find lately the comment section, some people I can respond to, some people I can't. There's comments just seem to be all over the place right now. It's just, some are in notifications, some are not. If I go to my, what's it called? YouTube
dashboard?
The studio.
The studio, YouTube studio. Then there'll be comments in there that I didn't even know that were there.
Yeah.
Because I rely on the notifications to tell me. I think, oh, these poor people have been commenting to me, and I didn't even know these comments were there because I didn't receive any notifications for it. So it just, I don't know. It's just.
Colin, you are absolutely right. The same exact things happened to me, but I was looking at LBRY's comments basically, and there is no dashboard that I could find that would sort all of your comments anywhere. You have to go to each individual video and check to see if there's any comments. Like that has to be there in order for you to, like if I was going to switch to LBRY, that has to be there. I can't be going into each video every single day to see if there's a new comment.
True. Yeah.
So it's exciting to see, but.
And I think those are things that will eventually come along. I think, it's LBRY, while LBRY's been around for a couple of years, it's only now starting to actually gain traction. And one of the things that Steve was complaining about, where it's constantly upgrading, I think it's upgraded 3 times in the last 45 days, but it's always because there's some new there's some new thing they're adding in, there's some new feature that's being added in, and you're going to have that issue where it's going to update more frequently because they're constantly going to be adding new features that, in order to start getting to the point where they can viably try and compete on a little scale with YouTube, because that's the thing they have. That's the target. You have to compete with YouTube if you're going to vie in this market.
Yep.
I think LBRY is one more round of censorship weirdness from YouTube away from being something more people go to. I think it's YouTube's game to lose. So I think if they keep doing their little weird, shutting people down or shutting certain things down, I think you'll see more stuff move to LBRY over time.
Well, even then I don't see, because there is no real big what's called discovery on LBRY, which is what most creators want. Unless you either know someone that shares your video, or you're really lucky and drop a lot of money in you won't be discovered on library unless you have something like YouTube to boost people onto it.
They got trending. They got a trending now in library. I've noticed.
Yes,
Under
but I
my
believe
home
that
feed,
is
trending.
I believe that is all based on how much money people put in it, as far as I'm aware.
It
How
only
much
took a
money
couple
you-
of gamers to move to Twitch to make it a juggernaut as well. And,
Yep.
and if YouTube, I like Nate's point. I think Google likes to find ways to have wonderful things and destroy them. So if YouTube will do another round of these weird things, they'll stop monetizing people in weird ways or doing something. And yeah, it's one step away. And if libraries is sitting there with a good functioning network, good access, the tech is right, maybe they've got to add some features, and the demand will drive those features. Yeah, it'll be theirs for the taking.
At least I don't have to upload and say this content's not for kids, even though it is.
Well, what you mean is it's not directed at kids, but it's kid friendly.
It's kid friendly,
Yeah.
and it'd be in kids' favors to watch it if they were interested. But no, it's not. It's not made for kids because for some ridiculous reason.
And the annoying thing about that is you can't play kids' videos in the background. Like you can't close the YouTube app and listen to the video in the background if you have YouTube Premium.
All right. I'd love to go on, but we are already over. So, but everybody gets the last word. Dan Simmons, last word.
Oh, thanks, Rocco. As always, been a good discussion, and I think good discussion around Kubuntu and some other things too. So, all right. One thing though that you forgot, Rocco, was you forgot to tell us what we're trying out next week for our distro discussion.
You're right.
Not challenge.
And who you're interviewing on Wednesday.
I'll get to that on the last word.
Yeah.
But let's see. Let's go to the tape.
I think it's Xubuntu.
It is, Dan. You are correct. It is Xubuntu next week. That is what we are trying out. That is what we are going to discuss next week. How's that?
Yes, distro discussion. So I'm
All
actually
right, who's blaring on their keyboard for crying out loud?
Not me. Not me.
The bandit
I
has
think
his hands
everybody
up.
was
Anyway.
trying to beat Tony.
Okay. Xubuntu, yeah. So we saved it till the end. That's great. Nobody can have it installed by the end of the show that way.
Sorry, Tony.
Hey, Tony
will have it.
Tony, just a little
He has
tip
it.
for you. In the other episode, when I mentioned which one it was or what we were going to do from now on, I mentioned
Yeah,
the
he
whole
wrote
schedule.
them all down, didn't he?
So you could go back and watch that video and get the whole schedule, so you can have it installed before we even start. Anyway, Dan, sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, thanks as always, and looking forward to Xubuntu and the new dark theme that is in there. Not to give too many spoilers away.
Whoa. Whoa. All right.
Anyway, thanks.
Dave Jones, last word.
Thanks, Rocco, for good discussion tonight. Can't wait to talk about Xubuntu next week. That's actually what I put on my work computer this past week when I had to go into the library to get ready for some updates, and going to have a lot to say about it.
Very nice. Who's next? Jinda, last word.
Thanks for having me, guys. I can't wait to try this on too.
Take it. Thomas, last word.
There we go. Didn't want to unmute. Well, thanks for having me on again this week. I was kind of distracted because my new toys from Pine 64. Tony, I've already beat you. I already have Xubuntu installed. I've had it installed for a couple weeks now.
That's not fair, Thomas.
It's entirely fair. I will say,
Cheating.
to go ahead and warn everyone, there is a bug. If you remove Thunar and you have desktop icons enabled, like the app icons and all that, then they will not work. You have to have Thunar installed. I have actually created a package to fix that. It is not in the Ubuntu repositories, though. If you want the package in order to test that and you don't want Thunar, hit me up and I'll send you the link.
Don't remove Thunar.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not a
who
bug.
removes
Not-
Thunar from
not everybody likes
Xfce.
Thunar.
Thunar
And-
is XFCE.
Not everybody likes Thunar. I don't like Thunar. I don't have Thunar
personally
installed.
don't like Thunar, but
Neither do
I
I.
don't try to uninstall it either.
I don't have it installed, but I can get desktop icons working with the package. So
Very good. Very good. Chris, last word.
Everybody stay healthy and safe and have a good week. That's about all I have.
All right. Tom, last word.
Thank you, Rocco, for having us. It was another great moment.
All right. Aris, last word.
Thank you very much, Rocco, and everybody who produces the show. I do want to say two things about Kubuntu. I do want to say that I appreciate all the effort that the developers make for putting out the distro. And I forgot to mention that I am excited how this Kubuntu release has a LTS QT, LTS obviously release. It's the kernel is also an LTS for the main kernel. So that all comes together for this release. Thank you.
Food bank guy. Peter.
Hey, Rocco. So two things. I just reposted what I posted earlier. Thank you for everyone. I'm saying this verbally. Thank you everyone who's been supporting food banks and local charities. The pandemic does continue. I'll use the word. It does continue, even though we're hopefully getting near the end. But food banks still need your help. So please help us, and thank you for doing so. Second one is, 21 years ago tomorrow, a plane landed in Newark, New Jersey. I was on that plane 21 years ago.
It's awesome. Very nice. All right, Tony, last word.
Yes, it's installing. That's the best I can offer you.
Okay, that's all right, Tony.
I mean, I realise you got your own back on me this week because you told me early last week, so you made it easy. This week, you made it impossible. But
actually, Tony, I really just completely forgot. So
yeah, of course you did. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Of course.
Welcome, Rocco.
Thanks,
He'll
Dan.
still have it done,
Appreciate
installed before we're done.
I'll let you off.
Thanks, Dan.
Anyway, it's been a great show. Good fun. Really enjoyed it. Look forward to next week's, and take care, everyone. Stay safe until then. And next week, Rocco, just give me a little bit more heads up. That would be great.
I'll send you the clip of the video of the whole schedule. There you go.
Perfect.
Daniel, last word.
Thank you for the stream, Rocco. Dan, for helping out. I think it was a good discussion. Thanks to the Kubuntu developers, everybody who works on that, because it is pretty cool, even if it doesn't suit everybody, like we like to say in here, with everything that we do, we test in here, we check out or whatever. These guys just pour in so much of their time and effort and work into this stuff. Like, it amazes me that we've gotten as far as we have over the years. So just thank you to all the developers that work on this stuff, whether you like it or not, whether you use it or not. They deserve a big round of applause for all their work. And everybody stay safe and observe the rules, even though we're trying to get, some of us are trying to get back to some semblance of pseudo normalcy, I guess. But stay safe, and I'm looking forward to Ubuntu, and I'll see y'all next week.
MC, last word.
Once again, I want to thank you, Rocco, and the community for putting this on. Great place for everyone just to get together and talk about whatever the weekly topic is. And put a big thanks out to Kubuntu and their team for, volunteering and all the work they do, putting out, really a great, whether you like Plasma or not, it's still a great distro. It's still a great effort. So they definitely deserve some kudos there. And looking forward to seeing everybody in the future.
All right. Paul, last word.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Hello to all the new guys, and Kubuntu for the win.
Colin, last word.
Yep, looking forward to trying Ubuntu next week. That'll be an interesting try. Haven't used it for a little while. Thanks, Rocco, for the platform, and Rocco and Rock and Co. Sorry,
Yep.
Rock and Co. Forgot about that. And everyone have a safe week, and see you all next week.
All right, Vince, last word.
Yeah, so one of the downsides of lockdown has been I've had a bit extra time to do some online shopping, and I accidentally bought a mechanical keyboard. So that was me earlier. Sorry.
Hey, there's nothing like a good mechanical keyboard, dude. Don't worry about
Oh dear. But thank you, Rocco and Dan, helping out on this fantastic show. Love the community. Love you all. See you next week.
Dave, last word.
Thank you, Rocco and Dan, and everybody who keeps making the mistake of letting me in each week. Thank you all to the rest of you for being the family I never knew I wanted. Thank you to the developers of Kubuntu for a truly solid release that it took some of my best efforts to break. And see you all next week.
Dan, I told you we shouldn't let him back in.
I keep telling you.
Just saying. Dale, last word.
Well, thank you for letting me in and be part of this awesome group and all the work that you and your team do. And just echo everybody else, stay safe, and we'll get through this eventually. Don't know when, but eventually we'll come here. So, and when you see the big trucks on the road, give us some space. We like to get home to our families too. So, good night.
Good tip. Good tip. Joe, last word.
Good show. Thanks for letting me be a part of it. Such a wonderful community. Look forward to going back in time 20 years and experimenting with Xfce. Somebody said new and Xfce. How dare you?
Right.
Yeah. But it exists, so we should look at it. Every time I try it, I think, this is gonna be the time. Everybody tells me how good Xfce is, and I just not sure I get it yet. But
Yep.
I'll keep trying it and play with it. Maybe give it a little more effort this week. And again, what a wonderful show, and appreciate all the hard work that goes into it. Have a good week.
Barbara, last word.
Okay, I want to thank you, Rocco and Dan, for all the work you've done, and thank everyone else for being my virtual lug. I kind of look forward to this every week, even if I'm not always the most vocal person in the group. And everybody, please stay safe and socially distance and wear your masks, because I want to see you all here next week healthy.
Very nice. Big Pod, last word.
Something on LBRY. A big problem with LBRY is there is no system like Content ID, so copyrights are gonna be a big issue when the platform becomes bigger. But other are more happier LBRY news. DistroTube has almost 9,000 followers on there, so he's quite big there.
Yep. Yes, he has a presence there, but I see that most of the Linux YouTubers have a presence on LBRY. It's just, I don't see any of them have switched over completely. So, all right, Adam, last word.
Thanks for putting this on. Glad I got to come this week. I was totally sick last week. Yeah, good times. Everybody should, try to wake up early and join Steve's stream in the morning. It's like at least half as good as this one. So everybody should join it.
Adam is Steve's biggest troll. Jason, last word.
Well, I'm just glad I was actually able to make it tonight. And I do thank everybody that puts the show on, Rocco, and everybody that helps them. It's great to see all your faces again and be able to, relax and have a good time discussing anything, Linux and other technological things.
Yep. JJ, last word.
Thanks, Rocco, for the stream, and thanks to all you guys for the discussion. And hope we all hang in there as we go through the next few weeks, hopefully transitioning to somewhat of a normal, although depending on where you live. Maybe I'll explore a different flavor than the path forward, but hopefully you guys do well with the challenge.
It's not a challenge, JJ. Nate, last word.
Hey, thanks for having my tardy self on. I look forward to next week.
All right, Steve.
I got
last
nothing.
word.
Yeah, Ed, I'm half. But it has been called Diet Biddle, so I guess half is right.
Wow.
But you may want to watch. I may have some news about a certain distro tomorrow morning that you have to stay tuned to
Interesting. Very interesting.
see and hear. So thanks again, Rocco. It's always great being on. Sorry I was late. Just making a good dinner tonight. Everybody take care and be safe.
All right, I think that's everybody. I don't think I missed anybody. My last word is thank you to the Kubuntu developers for the effort, the hard work that you put into it. I really appreciate that. I would like to see Sean Davis come back next week. That would be fantastic if he could join us. I'm just saying, Sean, if you're listening, that would be great if you could show up. So on Linux Spotlight this week, I talked to Chris Weir, and that was such a fun conversation to do. I don't know if everybody's
great.
watched it, but it was just a great conversation. He is so down to earth, and he can talk about so many different topics with intelligence. And I loved that conversation. Even tea. I mean, we were just having a conversation about tea. It was great. Next week, or Wednesday, I should say, at 6 a.m., I get to sit down with somebody I've been waiting to sit down for a while, and it's not a long interview, but on Wednesday I sit down with Ben Stone from Linux Gamecast, so you should definitely look for that. Now, I haven't completed the editing process yet or anything like that. So far behind, it's not even funny, but it'll be there on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Is there anything else I got to say, Dan? Okay, good. Thank you all for being here. We will see you next week. But until then, long live Linux.
Later.
Bye, buddy.
Free software.